One of the strategic advantages that we have by sourcing locally is that our stuff is always fresher and crisper than other people that don't do such things. So when we do source from local farmers and stuff, we obviously it's the quality of the ingredients first, but it's also how it's affecting the families and farmers that we're purchasing from.
You should be cooking what's in season, and that's what's in your backyard. So whatever's local is in your backyard, and when it's in season, that's when it's best. Absolute, the ripest, absolute, the sweetest, the best piece of vegetable that you can get at that time.
One of the first things I would do if you're buying fresh, whole, uncut fruits and vegetables is realize that the seller, the farmer, does not need to be licensed. However, that doesn't mean you shouldn't ask them questions about their agricultural practices, things of that nature. So if I'm buying fresh fruits and vegetables, I'm going to ask those types of questions. Did they use any pesticides? How long since the last treatment until it's been harvested? Did they follow the label? Those are some of the questions I would ask.
So Michigan restaurateurs just need to make sure that if you're going to buy local, that you know your local provider very well, that you get a receipt so that you have the proper contact information to get back in touch with them if something was to happen, and that it allows you to keep the chain of custody of the products you buy and serve to your customers.
Some of the things I would steer clear from at farmers markets would be cottage foods. Cottage foods cannot be purchased by restaurants. It can only be purchased by the end user. So I could certainly buy a cottage food and consume that myself or with my family, but a restaurant cannot. So make sure that if you're buying foods at a farmer's market, that it comes from a licensed source, unless there's a license exemption. As I mentioned, farmers selling whole fruits and vegetables. Especially when you're dealing with potentially hazardous foods, you want to make sure you keep hot foods hot, cold food cold. So certainly temperature control is very, very important. And I would certainly ask the vendor how they produce their food. Get to know them. That's a nice thing about a farmer's market, is you actually get to meet the producers face to face, and you can ask them about their processes, how they do things. But the key is make sure temperature control is being followed, because potentially hazardous foods not under temperature control can grow pathogens and it can get us sick. So that's really important.
A lot of our farmers keep everything in coolers. One of my farmers actually has a huge trailer that he has air conditioning. He keeps everything in there, nothing on the ground, everything elevated, and just really clean, crisp products.
Can restaurants purchase eggs at a local farmer's market? The answer is yes and no. The no is we do have an exemption that if you have less than 3,000 hens, you can sell your eggs without a food license. That's very similar to a cottage food where it can only be sold to the end user. Whereas we have also egg producers that are licensed by us. Those you can purchase at a farmer's market. And it should be fairly easy to tell if they're licensed or not licensed. The unlicensed egg producers are not under any temperature controls. Their eggs could just sit out on a counter, believe it or not. However, if you're licensed, they do have to be under temperature control. They're also clean, graded, and candled. I've had several questions from restaurants. Can I grow my own produce and serve that produce in my restaurant? The answer is yes. Restaurants can grow their own produce and serve it to their customers within their restaurants. They would not need a food license for that particular aspect of their business, but certainly they would be licensed to serve food, as all restaurants are required to have a food license.
It's such an important thing that we're feeding people. It's like making sure that the chain is correct from beginning to end, so we're not making somebody sick or something like that.
Michigan's economy just does better when small businesses can buy and support other small businesses. I think we all grow and it helps Michigan.
I think restaurants, going to your local farmer's market, you can't find a better place to find Michigan-grown fresh fruits and vegetables. Why would you want to go somewhere else?